Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Frank at Home on the Farm. I think that this would be a better title for a novel, and I feel almost like that's where this book belongs more than in a comic book, this story at least. But we're going to get into that stuff. This is coming from Scout Comics. Let's get talking about who made this comic book. We'll talk a bit more about the book itself. So the writer is Jordan Thomas. The artist is Clark Bint. The letters are by Letter Squids. I'm not here to judge. Actually, technically I am. But anyway, I'm going to let that go. Okay, the cover is by Clark Bint, graphics by Daniel Gruitt, and like I said, Scout Comics, baby. So Frank's this dude. He goes off to war. I believe it's his mom, his dad, and his sibling are like, "We'll be waiting here for you when you come back." But I also don't see too many images of them, just a few. And then immediately he's back. So there was a war. So we don't know anything about him growing up, anything about him being at war. We only know that he comes back and it's an empty house. That leaves way too many possibilities for this comic book. This is a fun one. Let me show you a couple pages because Scout unfortunately doesn't give any preview pages. So the art in here is fantastic, and it's really the only thing keeping me from saying that it definitely belongs in a novel otherwise, because besides the fractal story and the fractal, like, look how beautiful that looks. It just looks like, oh, it's going to be a great homecoming. Yeah, it turns out no. After the Great War, so that's World War I, for anybody who's not familiar with your wars. There's also fractal pictures in here, specifically the word balloons and some of the other parts of this. You can't be sure exactly what's happening in here. He comes home and there's nobody there. There's definitely a house. I mean, that can't really be denied, but no one seems to remember nobody seems to know there's a house out there. It's 2 miles outside of town, old school town. Mind you, it's right after World War I. So, I mean, there's no cell phones, no pagers. Everything's by lettergram. You know what I'm saying? The mailman delivers all your messages back and forth. And I don't know, man. Like how many cars are there, really? How many people own cars? You're probably more likely, especially out in this rural area, to own a tractor than anything else. So there's some crazy things that happen in this story. The guy is seeing things that are or aren't there. Now, with all of that and the crazy things that are happening, I kind of want to say that he's suffering from PTSD. I kind of want to say that he's a schizophrenic. I kind of want to say it's a horror story. I kind of don't know what's going on. And the problem is that the book ends in a really interesting way. I really liked the imagery here, and the artist definitely deserves to take a bow because, wow. As far as the story, though, this is one of those stories where it's going to be made or broken by the second issue. The problem is how many people are how many people are checking out this book to begin with? How many people are even reviewing this comic book? I'm not sure. We'll see, right? More than that, like, it's a small company, Scout Comics, and how, even the people who jumped on the first issue and like, oh, let me check this out. How many people are actually going to get the second issue just to see if the book's going to be any good or not? Because you should have caught us by the first issue. And if we have zero clue as to what's going on, what's the motivation to get the second issue? You get what I'm saying? Because it might just be more of the same. I feel that this book should have been a double-sized issue, or at least just an oversized issue. This should have been more than what's in here, because I at least want some kind of a hint at what's happening next. Look, you loved the book, or you hated the book. I'm more curious than anything else. I got to be honest, though. I don't know if I'm curious enough to see the next issue. So I am in a very fortunate situation. Well, I'm in a fortunate position. It's a better word for it. That Scout Comics sends me PDF copies of their stories. I think that's going to be a good thing in this case, because while I don't usually read the PDFs, I usually have no interest in reading a PDF. I don't care. I'd rather just do this. But it definitely feels better having a comic book company send me stuff, because then at least I feel like, okay, you want me to do reviews. Okay, cool. In this case, I might actually utilize that PDF copy they send for issue number 2, because I'm going to check that out and see if I'm interested in reading the second issue. If you don't see another issue from me, there's a 50-50 chance that I just didn't like the book. Unfortunately, there's also a 50-50 chance that I just couldn't get to it because I'm just too busy with everything I'm doing. That being said, ask me. One of my live chats that I do on Saturdays, ask me if I ever checked out issue number 2. Worst case scenario, I'll go back and reread it really quick and at least do a quick little update issue 2 review without actually buying the book if I didn't really like it too much. I don't know. Either way, we'll see. This book has me in a very weird position right now. I'm not sure what to do with this, and that's for a small comic book company. You know, saying Scout, for a small comic book company, and otherwise, I think these guys are, to me at least, they're unknown. That's a dangerous position to put yourself in. That first issue needs to grab you and slam you against the wall, kick you in the nuts, spit in the back of your neck, and then take you out dancing. Really weird night that you'll never forget. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? Absolutely none of that happened in this issue for me. I'm just more like, huh, that was odd. I wonder where I'll go from here. So a first issue for a comic book company this small, this should make me immediately say this needs to go on my pull list. So, like I said, we'll see where it goes from here. But I didn't hate it. That's for damn sure. I did not hate this in one slightest bit. So anyway, that's really, I'm just going to start repeating myself. Got to see what happens next. Talk to you guys later. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.